All right, Wendy and Lucy for today. So, Kritik, can we start with you since you came in first?
Okay. So first impressions, right?
Sure, yeah. Whatever you thought of the film, good, bad, bored, whatever.
Um, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was pretty slow and there was very sparse dialogue, and even in the dialogue, there were like kind of a lot of repetitions, and not as a complaint, but you could see a bunch of parallels and kind of something they're trying to build up with the repetitions. But it was really good. It was a great movie. I think that's it I have to add for my first impressions.
Okay, Mohammed, and then Arunav.
Uh, about the movie, I really liked the movie. It was slow paced, and how a person, when all the wrong things start happening at once, how simple thing starts uh, crumbling suddenly. It was really to be seen, and the actress did a fantastic job. Her expression, what is going in her mind, without saying much, her facial expression was captivating. I was just looking at her face, what is going on in her head, and that scene where after uh, coming at night, some stranger approached her, and after that she ran into that washroom and she cried. It was genuinely intimidating, like, because spending night in a street, I have experienced it, and it is horrible in very strange place, how it feels when you don't have anybody to talk or share or ask help. It was really a kind of an experience, like remembering my own days. It was There were truth in the content, if I have to put it. There were nothing fancy about it, dramatized, nothing. It was simply put, and we could sympathize uh, with the protagonist. Very, it was simply marvelously crafted, and I loved the way it was. And that tune, even still it is ringing in my head, like it has it has registered in my consciousness, it seems subconsciousness, and it was getting repeated whenever I think about that part. She's meeting the dog, uh,
Yeah, there's no music in the film. It's only the humming.
humming,
Yeah,
the humming. I
that is
Sorry,
the
I get it
only
wrong.
soundtrack in the film.
Mm. Uh, yeah, that's the beauty of this parallel cinemas, that they speak a lot with few scenes and words, and just through $300,000 this movie was made. That's remarkable, and yeah, that's it.
Vishal, uh, Arunav, and then Vishal. I guess you can go after him.
Yep, sure.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. You said something.
No, I just said hi.
Hi, hi. Yeah, hi.
Arunav, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, continuing from what Mohammed was saying, right? It's a marvelous film. This is probably my favorite Kerry Reichardt film, along with Certain Women. So, yeah, I mean, the way I read this film, it's a critique of American society, or more specifically, the atomization of American society, almost an apocalyptic view of the social conditions that prevailed or still prevail, right, through the microcosm of a small town. And it also came out at a very opportune or inopportune time, probably in September 2008, right, where at the peak of the recession. So it was very timely as well as when it came out. And I mean, this was probably the first Kelly Reichardt film where she had a not considerable, I mean, compared to her previous films, better budget to work with. her earlier film Old Jai had around like $30,000 budget, and this had like 10 times that. And she had a semi-popular at that time star also starring in the film in the form of Michelle Williams. So all in all, a very, fantastic film. Critique of American society, illustrating the insufficient social systems and the psychology of atomization that separates individuals within local communities to the extent of even subverting their own good-hearted instincts as well. Right. So yeah, first thoughts. Maybe I'll add more later.
But it had to be shot the year before, right?
Yeah,
It came out
it
in
was shot
2008,
in
but
it
it's
was
probably
shot
shot in late
2007.
2007 or
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Vishal, you there?
Yeah. I have
Okay.
not been feeling well, so I've not seen the film again. But yeah, fantastic film. Um, I liked it more than I thought I would like it because I uh, I was not a big Kelly Reichardt fan, so it was quite surprising how good the film was to me at that point. And uh, great filmmaking in terms of it being just minimalist but saying so many things. And uh, it I think uh, compared to all her other films, at least the ones that I remember, I don't really remember feeling more emotional. It was not melodramatic, but still, I never felt as emotional as I felt in this film. So, um, great film. I think even during the curation, it was like very easy to select this film. It's not a difficult. We didn't even discuss too much on it. So, yeah, lovely film.
All right, I'll go next. So I really like this film, and I'm a big fan of Kelly Reichardt, and it's, I wouldn't say her best film, but definitely one of her best films. And something about Kelly Reichardt's film, which always is worth appreciating, is how much storytelling she's able to do outside the plot. So you have the plot of this girl, she loses the dog. Sure, that happens. We also get a conclusion to that story. But beyond that, like Arnav was pointing out, there's so many things going on outside this plot. Um, there's a commentary on society, economy, humanity, a lot of things. So, yeah, the economy in which she operates, right? And I don't mean that in terms of budget, but how does she boil down these ideas into clues that she can pack into the scenes is remarkable. So this might be the third or the fourth time I'm watching this film, and it holds. It still works, and if anything, it just improves my appreciation for the film because not looking back at it, revisiting it, every single scene is serving a purpose, and there is no wasted time. And one beautiful quality about this film in particular is that it has a documentary like quality to it, which you will see in a lot of you know mid to late 2000s art house films. They tried, especially after the Dardenne brothers uh, became famous with Rosetta. A lot of art house films after that tried to go for the documentary aesthetic. And sorry about the kids in the back. So it it definitely does that, but at the same time, it's very free flowing, right? Like the movie, from one scene to the other, you never have a jarring change. Everything that happens seems to follow a natural order, yet everything is, all the pieces of the puzzle are put in place for a very specific reason, and they all build, help in building a greater character arc, which happens over the course of 90 minutes. So, so yeah, on the surface, it's a movie about a girl and dog, but if you pay attention to it, there's so much more going on in terms of filmmaking, in terms of themes and concepts, and yeah, it's quite marvelous. So, so yeah, that is first reactions. Mm, I don't really have a set agenda or set of questions in hand because Nikhil is supposed to be here, but he's not here. So mm, maybe we can start from the beginning. And one thing that stands out about the beginning for me is that um, you see a, a bunch of drifters around a campfire, right? They're drinking and they're just hanging out. But there's a clear distinction between them and the main character. They're all in dirty clothes and face tattoos and drinking beer, and they've made themselves comfortable in that lifestyle, in that um, homeless situation that they're in. I don't know how or why that is, but it seems to be the case that they they they're used to this kind of atmosphere, whereas this girl is not. She is definitely out of place, uncomfortable, and you can tell that she's not here by choice, but here due to circumstance. And she's very careful about how she spends her money, because you see her managing a little ledger in her notebook of her expenses and her savings. Um, and then also they show you a scene where you can see she's very particular about her personal hygiene as well. So this is definitely not a natural place for her, but she ended up here, and it makes you question how does someone like her, I'm assuming the film is suggesting a young teenage girl, maybe 18, 19 years old. How does a person like that end up here? And we had much of this conversation in a previous film. Muhammad might remember, for Chain, right? We had a similar character in that film, and we talked about a lot of these things. That it's it's almost a norm in the US and in many countries that once you are 18, you are on your own. You pay your own bills, you pay your own college loans, and all these things, and you're responsible for yourself. And in many cases, some parents don't even want you, so they basically disconnect from the children once they're 18. That can also happen. So yeah, just within the first few scenes, there's so much communication happening without a single line of dialogue. So maybe we can start from there. Sorry, I don't have questions, but yeah, if anyone wants to pitch in, please join. Meanwhile, I'll check where Nikhil is and why he's not here.
I personally think it is not one of the things that I really loved about this film was I think there is no, I, as you said, like what is it, 18, 19-year-old girl who's, you know, away from home, whatever it is. I felt like uh, because she was trying to critique the system, she also wanted her character to be gender neutral. So if you look at if you see at the design of, if you check out the design of the actor, she looks androgynous. It's a very, it's done on purpose because the system affects everyone. It doesn't really affect a man and a woman. It affects everyone. It also affects the animal. So that is one thing that I really absolutely loved about this film. And as you said, right, that let's say 18-year-old leaving her house, his or her house, and being on their own, which might be seen as a virtue, that you are taught to be independent. I think what in the bigger picture, what really works for me in this film is that uh, that might be seen as a virtue, but maybe not everyone can survive that way. So there is a system in place which works, but does it? But is everyone equipped to handle that system? And she may or may not be equipped to handle that system. So uh, this disconnect with the system is what I loved. In fact, this is also what I loved about Old Joy. And to do it in a way which is seemingly dispassionate, but it is not. It is absolutely not dispassionate. It clearly she feels so strongly about it, and this critique of the system. I just was in love. I would never have felt like a film like this would be a critique on the system. For example, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's also a critique of the system, wherein it says like the system is like a mental hospital, but it's there. Like it's a very dramatic film. I'm not saying it's a bad film. Saying it's a very dramatic film. It's much more easier to bring out. It's easier to bring out bigger ideas, but to do it in the way that she did is quite stunning. Um, I mean, I just I was quite amazed. I was wondering whether I could ever be able to do it, but I can't. So yeah, I mean, it's well, it's not easy to make minimalist films. It's very difficult, and having seen her work, like the first film that I saw was Certain Women, and I found it. I walked out of the film. And I never walk out of films. And I have seen the film again, and I still find it incredibly boring. And so I was never wanted to. I was never really interested in watching a Kelly Reichardt film. Then I saw Old Joy and uh, Wendy and Lucy, and it like quite blew me away. Even her new film, First Cow, I think I need to see it again. It's quite very interesting film. So it's very difficult. It's not very difficult to make a film which is talking about ideas, but it's very difficult to get it right. So uh, fair play to her. That's all I can say.
I don't know if I'm repeating the words correctly, but there is a saying something along the lines that simplicity is never simple. It can only be achieved by a complex process of elimination. Something like that.
Simplicity is different from being simple. So uh, yeah, right. I mean, I totally agree with this. Totally two different things. It's her process is not simple at all. It's just that she's crystallized everything in a very beautiful way.
If I may, I wanted to bring up one aspect of the movie, which I it was poking me everything about the
Mohammed,
system.
you cannot. Why did you say if I may? You can, obviously. Like,
No, no,
of a question is that if I
yeah,
may.
yeah.
Go on.
So like she stole the food, dog food, to feed her dog, and I'm not just talking about this character stealing. More than that, when people commit crimes, when it is means when system pushes them to margin where they can't leave and they have to, in order to survive, they opt for crime or stealing or any kind of which goes against the law, and again that law punishes them, because this question, in crime and punishment, that character is a good person, but loneliness, it may be loneliness or the system itself which has pushed him, and people commit crime and we go towards punishing them, like, oh, you have went against the law, we are going to punish you, but how justifiable, means how can we justify this? People commit crime, some of them, I'm not speaking of people who commit crime deliberately or out of passion, I'm a passion or profit. I'm speaking here people who don't have any choice. For example, feeding themselves or their family. Isn't that something wrong? Or this question keeps bothering me that the system isn't helping them, and when they try to survive by doing these things, we go and punish them again. What do you all feel about this thing?
This is actually a repeating theme that comes up in the film. All the interactions that she has in the film has this element that you can question about it. Starting with the security guard, right? Um, Everyone is following the rules in some manner.
True.
Security guard is pushing her out because that is the rule. She cannot park here. It doesn't matter if her car is working or not. It doesn't matter if she was sleeping. Cannot stay here means cannot stay here. Then at the supermarket, it doesn't matter if it's a 99-cent can of food. Stealing is stealing, and the enforcement is the same. And in fact, one of the lines the young employee says is the rules are the same for all.
Yeah, he
So
also says that food is not the issue. We need to set an example. So,
exactly,
according to
yeah,
him, the issue is ideological.
yeah, yeah. So this question about um,
Yeah, just on even the mechanic part.
following the rules and following the law, and do you follow what is written down, or do you follow the intention of why that rule is there? Then even with the garage, um, she has to get the car to the garage, right? These are strong guys working in the garage. Two, three of them push the car together. It can be here in 5 minutes. But he's like, according to the rules, I have to charge you a towing fee, and that is $50. And should he charge that? Uh, uh, taking in regard the circumstances which the girl is in, should he show some leniency and should he show some humanity? He can, but does he? That's the question. Some
Mm.
do, some don't. And yeah, this theme keeps popping up in the film,
Yeah.
again and again.
So
Yeah.
wherever she interacts with, right, the jobs which are
Hmm.
being shown, like the store clerk, the manager,
Hmm.
the policeman, the policewoman, the pound
Hmm.
woman, the any other people that she comes across, right? All these jobs, they're being shown as jobs that require a certain purposefully determined apathy for for achieving a maximum efficiency. So that's another critique of the social system that Kelly is pointing towards, very in a very understated way. It's never in your face.
The best example of this is the security guard, right?
Yeah.
If you're watching the film for the first time, you are inside the car. The camera is inside the car with the girl. So you're sitting next to her. So obviously your closest protagonist is the girl. So seeing from her perspective, you feel bad for the girl that, oh no, he's waking her up and her car is not starting, and instead of saying it's fine, just just understanding the situation, he keeps repeating, no, you can't be here, you can't be here.
Yeah.
So you are irritated by this security guard because he's not showing any kindness, empathy, or humanity towards the situation. He's just barking the rules at her.
Mm.
But through the course of the film, he's one of the kindest characters she comes across in her life, because she doesn't have anybody, right? Like that's one of the characteristics of of this person, that she doesn't have a support system. Her family has basically given up on her. She doesn't have friends. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have an address. So to her, whatever little the security guard did was the kindest experience of her life. So a, a nice, simple man like that has been forced into this position of, um, as you said, being what's the word you used? I don't know.
Apathetic.
Apathy. Yeah,
Yeah.
forced into that corner
Yeah.
just to make a living.
Yeah. I mean, they show glimpses of change, trying to help the store manager, the security guard, even the garage mechanic, right? But
Yeah,
eventually they cannot move past their conditioning
in the
at the point where it.
supermarket.
Mm.
Sorry, you were saying something.
No. That's the point. I mean,
Yeah, in the supermarket, the manager himself,
hmm.
he's not interested in the case,
Yeah.
right? When the young boy is like, oh, I saw her stealing and I have it on camera, and it's a can of dog food, and he's kind of like, come on, uh, do we need to? And um, and the young guy keeps pushing him, no, the rules are the same, we have to set and at that point he's like, all right, I'm also forced into a corner where I have to follow what is written down on the paper,
Yeah.
and according to the paper I have to turn you in. So, and same thing at the police station, right? Like, she either has to pay the fine, or she either has to go to court, and there's no room for leniency anywhere.
Mm.
Everybody is just following the rules.
Living
So
by rule book.
yeah, and it makes you question that, do we really have a society at that point if everybody is just operating like robots? Everybody's following rules.
Yep.
See, the question is also simply about finding your place in the system. Now, can you say the system is wrong? If the system is wrong, then we have evolved. This system has evolved. We've come into. We're living in a world where there is this system which is in place, and on the one side we have nuclear weapons, but on the other side, less people are dying of war now than they died 50 years back. So, is it right or is it wrong? I don't know. So now you are placed in this system, this person, this young person. So to choose, the character could have also been in his mid-20s or mid-30s, like it is in Old Joy. Again, in Old Joy, also his wife is pregnant, so he's on the cusp of a new development in his life. So you are trying to find your place in this system. It's not about being right or wrong. You just don't know. You did not ask for this system. The system works because there is security. Maybe there is security for the cream of the society, but there is some sort of security, and you are pushed into this system. And now, even if you look at all these characters who probably do not show her uh, any sort of sympathy on the surface. Imagine if they started showing sympathy to everyone. They probably would not be able to do their job. Whether that is right or wrong, that's a different question. So everyone is stuck that way. And uh, I mean, generally, also, I feel that whether something is right or wrong is so much more complicated when we start digging into it. So she does not know what is right or wrong, and she is not also bothered about what is right or wrong. She just wants to live her life, but she did not ask for this sort of, uh, you know, a life where she maybe the system doesn't suit her, and it definitely doesn't suit her, right? Because she has to give up a prized possession. It comes at a cost. So it's a good question, Mohammed, and the film also addresses it in its own way, a very beautiful way, I would say. So yeah, I don't know what else to say.
The criticism is not about right or wrong. What I got from this is that, like I said, right? Do we have a society, or have we become robots? The whole reason of having a human take take responsibility of a certain thing which can be automated is that the decision making power is unique, that you can decide on a case by case basis of what is the right choice in this situation. That's what makes us human. Whereas a robot or any automated system for that matter has a binary answer. It's either a yes or a no. There is no room for middle ground. So, that itself is the criticism. To make an exaggerated point, and forgive me for exaggerating so much, is that in the Nuremberg trials, one of the key defense was that they were just following orders, right? And does that absolve them of all wrongdoing because it was written on paper? Or should they have the conscience to say that, yes, I'm following the law, but sometimes the situation demands a different resolution? That maybe I should not go around killing civilians. Not to say that the situation in this film is as severe as that, but you get the point. There is no room for nuance in this society that is being presented, or this microcosm of society which is being presented. It's always that you follow the rules or you don't.
Yeah. Everyone is just following the rules. Nobody's questioning their place in society. That's the overarching theme, right?
But what Vivek, you mentioned very beautiful point. I really like that the decision making power still lies with us. We can decide how to act in that situation, whether I should help a person or should I compromise with my rules, somehow find a middle path so that I can help this person and also stick to my job or rules book. uh, yeah, it always has happened with me, so it's beautiful
Oh,
point, beautiful.
thank you.
Um,
So, I mean, in a way, I'm sure you must have asked someone for directions, right? While driving, you must have either asked a shopkeeper or you must have had a street food seller. How do I get to this address? They are not obliged to tell you anything. They can just say it's not my job. Use a map. Go to hell. But no, people help each other. That's humanity. And if we are all just following the book or whatever rules have been set, then where is the humanity in that? So if if the rule book does not make room for humanity, then the, somewhere we've gone wrong as a society. And to be fair, these people are not bad people. At least most of them are not bad people. So the security guard clearly is a kind old man. Then the store manager at the supermarket, he understands that it's a 99-cent thing, and um, it's not worth pursuing legally, and just a warning, and this humiliation in is enough to warn a teenager against doing this. But at the same time, the goody two shoes or the boy scout young employee, he he's still finding his way. He's still understanding his balance of right and wrong, um, and what he has done in that process. He's chosen a very uh, narrow perspective of what is right, and in his perspective, following the rule means you can always be right because the law is on your side. That means legally you're doing everything correct. So
So, the whatever the store boy or the young man who says, right, these are just he's just repeating certain conservative platitudes, right, in the context of American politics, right. He's basically justifying the rejection of a person's rights to their own humanity. He says at one point that if a person can't afford dog food, they shouldn't have a dog. So these are very, American conservative
but is that
talking
wrong?
points.
Is that a wrong thing to say? That
So that's a very political question to answer.
no, it's not. I'm not asking in terms of politics. Just asking uh,
Yeah, I
on a
mean,
general
rejection
basis.
of a person's right to their own
Hmm.
humanity, that's always a wrong thing. I mean, there cannot
Hmm.
be two ways about it.
Hmm. Then let's say one person doesn't have the finances to support the basic necessities of a dog, right? Which is um, some sort of bed and some sort of food and water. And wo- how do they go about taking care of their animal? Because the animal also has certain rights by law. So that is also a unique proposition to be answered. That yes, human rights. We understand that you have the right to uh, have company. Sorry, have company, but at the same time, the animal is also um, by law um, has the provision that the minimum basic requirements have to be met. So, I mean, is there an answer to that question?
No, under the prevailing economic system, there isn't.
Yeah. It's difficult to answer, and I'm not looking at this from a political lens at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kritik, I think you were trying to say something.
No, it is like it was about your previous point, and is
Can't hear you, Kritik.
it was about your previous point, and is it fine if I bring it up again?
Of course.
You mentioned something about they were not able to take a nuanced path about not able to see a nuanced path. Several of the characters in the film, but I just think that they were all aware of the nuanced past, but they find it more comfortable to follow the rule book at the end of the day. Uh, Especially with the store manager. I mean, he did not have much. They have nothing to lose if the huge uh, Walgreens or Walmart loses a bunch of dollars, but they find it easier to follow the rule book. And even with the security guard, but he actually has something to lose. But they, I would, I'm just trying to say that I disagree with they're not seeing nuance. I think almost everyone implicitly sees the nuance, but they find it more easier to just follow the rule book because it benefits them.
Or are they obliged to follow the rule book?
Okay, I am not sure I understand what you mean by that.
I mean, they have to follow the rules, or else,
That's what I meant when
yeah.
the for the security guard. Maybe
Hmm.
he has in risk. He has a risk in showing a bit of leniency.
Hmm.
But definitely the store clerk and the manager also would not have had much to lose.
Yeah, it's, I mean, at least if you go in the scene, the manager doesn't seem very interested in prosecuting.
Hmm.
But because of this, you know, Boy Scout kind of employee, if he doesn't, then this guy's gonna rat him out to corporate, and corporate is gonna come back and ask him, why didn't you follow the book of rule books? You were clearly guided that in case of thefts, this is what you're supposed to do. You didn't follow protocol.
Hmm.
So
So, but then how would the okay? I that's a true point. But and how would the I think the how would the mechanic fit into this? Willfully trying to the obviously mechanics are well known as cheaters, but how would
hmm.
the mechanic fit into this? Willfully, trying to steal whatever is left from a homeless person.
Hmm. So I was going to come to that, but since we're here, let's go ahead with it. Is that one one more thing that the film presents to us is this situation where how society treats you depending on your economic standing. And this mechanic, for example, right?
Hmm.
Uh, if he was a responsible business owner, when a customer comes into the shop, you're supposed to drop what you're doing and make the customer feel welcome. You greet them or whatever the procedure is. And this guy is, talking to his friend on the phone about betting on some horse, and instead of making his friend wait, he makes the customer wait. And this poor girl, she seems to know what is wrong with the car, or at least has some idea of what is wrong with the car. And unfortunately for him, she also seems to know the price of the repair, which is $150 altogether. That's not interesting to him, so she's not worth his time. Which is why next day, you have this whole story of fluid lock or this and that, and alternators gone and timing belt is gone, all kinds of bullshit. So yeah, there's something to be discussed over there as well, that in a capitalist environment, if you're not a consumer, do you see a change in the way you're treated?
I was a little bit more shocked that she kind of just accepts her fate as that, and she didn't try to fight or plead or anything. It was a little bit, unexpected because I don't think she pleaded to or asked for any kind of mercy or help to anybody. And I think even the security guard himself offered the help to her.
Offered his help in what form?
He gave her the mobile number and all, and
Ah, which she took, right? Like she took his help and
yeah,
was using his phone as a contact. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, even then he offered the phone himself. She didn't ask for it.
Yeah, that is out of his personal generosity. He's not obliged to do any of that.
Yeah, but she didn't ask anybody for anything, and she
Hmm.
was like,
In fact, she's
"Who?"
adamant about it that she doesn't want favors. She wants to make it on her own. Even if when she calls her brother-in-law, you know, she doesn't call to ask for money. She just wants to talk to family members. That's all. But the conversation is shut down prematurely, saying that hey, we're not in a financial situation to help right now. So even
"Oh,
family members are distancing themselves just because you don't have enough money. Whereas she never asked for money. And Kritik, going back to your question, at that point of the story, right, she has lost it. Lost it in the sense that she's been on a series of losing battles. Wake up in the morning, car is not working. Uh, your dog is hungry. There's no dog food. You go to the supermarket, you get arrested. Then you come back to collect your dog is gone. Then you want to go to the dog pound is closed. Then you want to try to find a place to sleep. Uh, there is a threat of getting raped, and see, then she's running out of money. She doesn't have enough money to survive for the next month. It's Yeah, I don't know. After a certain point, you simply don't have the willpower to argue and fight against all the obstacles that come your way. It's difficult for anyone.
And her character is also built up as someone very non-confrontational, right? Even when she gets caught while shoplifting, she doesn't really, uh, you know, plead to be let go, or when the police takes her away while Lucy is tied up in front of the store, she just tells it to the police officer once, right? That my dog is tied up there. That's all. She doesn't really plead to take her with her, something like that. So I mean, I think that's part of the character.
Yes, that's also part of. Uh, Correct. I mean, I agree. It's part of this character, and it's part of the symbolism of that character also. The character is representing something, and that something is being totally, it's been suppressed so much that they don't really have the will to fight. And I think we should also then, in that way, we should also have sympathies for these other people. They might also be tired of, they know there's no point in putting up a fight. So it's there, like it's pervading throughout the film, throughout the characters.
Hmm. Mm, let's talk about Mohammed.
Just I'm just rephrasing the. I think the question you brought up, that affordability. If I am not able to afford anything, like establishing a relationship with a some person, like dog, it may be dog, like having a partner in your life, any relation, if you can't afford it, shouldn't we are we supposed to what how should I put, like we are not eligible for having those, like you brought up that if I can't afford to provide basic necessities for a dog, then I shouldn't have a dog. If I can't provide living for my partner, so I shouldn't get married. etc., etc.
I don't think the film was answering your specific question, but she does leave the dog with the new owners or people.
Yeah, yeah, that was also good. That finally, I think she realized that the dog will have a better life with that house, that with that man. Uh,
Mohammed, there is this movie which it really broke my heart because it was about something that uh, over the period of my life I put a lot of thought to. I don't think I have the answer, but I put a lot of thought to, and it was I don't think I've ever cried after watching a film as much as I've after this one. And it's easily available. I think it's there on Netflix and Amazon both. It's called Kafarnaum. Should definitely check it out. So
yeah, please drop the name of the movie in the message
yeah,
box.
so I can't really answer your question without giving any sort of spoilers. But let's say I've thought a lot about uh, whether poor people don't really have the resources to raise kids, but uh, they have a lot of kids, you know. And I've always thought about this, like why do these people want so many kids when they can't really take care of them? And Kafarnaum also brings up this question in a very, I mean, terrific film. You should watch it. So now the question is, should they or shouldn't they? So I mean, the easy answer is they shouldn't because they can't afford to, and you are bringing somebody into this world and you're making sure that this person is going to suffer because it's a vicious circle. Poverty is a vicious circle. It's not easy at all to get out of it, and it's very easy to give moral science lessons, but uh, to get out of it, living a very straightforward life, being a nice person, not doing anything under the table, as they say, and illegal, because that was also one of the questions that you brought up, I think. And to climb that ladder is not easy. It's easy in films, it's easy in fiction, but it's when you think about it, it's not easy. There is a reason why people cannot climb that ladder. Very few do. So uh, that's the easy answer, right? Like don't have kids. But as I sorry, I Aruna, is that your name? Sorry, I
Yep, yep.
first time. So as Arnav rightly pointed out, it's unfair, right? You can't really. I don't remember the term that he used, but you can't really expect people to not want to feel. They if it's very basic to humans, right? To want to have kids, and you're telling them do not have kids because you can't afford to. And now, who are we to tell them don't have kids? It's very obvious they can't take care of those kids. They're putting them into. They're just bringing kids into this world. It's a perpetuity of suffering. But do we have the right to tell them that don't have kids? I don't know. I don't have the answer. So, as you said, do I or don't I have the right to aspire for a partner because of my uh, financial situation? Uh, Again, I think this question has to be looked at it from different lenses. But I also think if I'm just addressing this particular idea because I mean there are many such questions. Well, one of the things that I think nature does is that when they put an imbalance in your life, I think it is also to avoid a lot of conflict in your life. I'm not saying that's the right thing. I'm not saying that's the right thing or right way to go about it. But let's say you are aspiring for a partner who with whom there is no financial compatibility. That's not necessary. Even if you get that partner, doesn't really mean that you're going to live a happy life. So there is no single lens that you can view this question with. It's a very complicated question. Uh, Nobody has the right to tell you that you shouldn't aspire for something. But the question is actually to you: are you ready to put up that fight? Because aspiration brings along with it. Uh, there is a reason why we aspire to something, right? Because we don't have it, we want it. And if you are aspiring for something, you'll have to fight for it. And it is not, frankly, it is not the job of the system or life in general to make things easy for you. So the question is, are you ready to fight for it? That's all. It's a complicated question. I don't think there is a right answer to it. I absolutely don't think there is a right answer to it. But if you
Also,
say that whether or not can I aspire, you can definitely aspire and you should aspire. Nobody should be telling you that you can't aspire to have kids. But like, I want to have a family. I can't afford it. Nobody can tell you that don't aspire to have a family. Don't aspire to have a partner. Don't aspire to have this job. Don't aspire to have this kind of education. Nobody can say that to you.
yeah, again, it's easy to say she doesn't, she shouldn't have a dog. Like she can't afford dog food, like the kid says. But I was just imagine how helpful the dog would have been when the guy crept up on her in the
I
night.
don't remember the film. I mean, I've not seen it again. How does she get the dog? Is that explained?
No, I think you mentioned that if you don't well I do like let's if they can't support the thing or if they don't deserve it, should they have it?
No, no,
They
no.
can't.
I'm not arguing with.
I know,
I
but
just wanted to ask:
hmm.
do they? Is it clarified in the film whether she adopts the dog or she's? It's just a stray dog.
No,
it
it's not. Nothing much
it's
about
it
her
just
background
starts
is
okay.
actually.
Because then again, that's again that question. We'll have to find that out to answer that question, because if she had adopted that dog without having means to support that dog, then there is a problem. But if
Yeah.
that was a dog, like let's say stray dog that who was suffering and she picked it up, then you can't really question her, right? How can you say, okay, oh, she cannot afford to have that dog? It actually speaks volumes about her humanity.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are taking it to the extreme a bit. I mean, in the context of the film, we clearly see that she has a pretty huge bag of dog food with her. I mean, which is finished by the time she goes into the store, right? So I don't think that bag, that larger bag, can be shoplifted from somewhere. So she has probably paid for it. In all probability, she has. So I mean, it's just a temporary.
It's
Uh,
sorry, go on, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, in the context of the film, the way I see it is that she's going through a temporary economic hardship, right? And she's going to Alaska for greener pastures to get a job. The drifters told her that they're looking for people. So I mean, yeah, we should. I think we should talk in that context. I mean, we're taking it to the extreme by saying things. I mean, getting into things like should
Yeah,
we
yeah,
aspire
correct.
for a
I agree,
partner?
because it's not about whether she could afford the dog or not. So all these, her car, the dog, these are all possessions,
Yeah,
and she's being stripped of her possessions. That's what's happening in the story. She's
yeah,
being stripped of her possessions, and uh, uh, again, you're stripped of your possessions. You're finding your place in the system. What do? You don't know how to handle this, and this is the question for a whole generation. That's what the film is trying to do. So that is the larger question. And how do you know how uh, how does this generation go, or like what happens in Jia Janke's films? He's talking about this whole generation of people, which the country is seeing this economic boom, and young people really don't know what to do with it. They are trying to find their place, and I mean, believe me, I'm also somebody who who thinks that, I mean, I'm just lucky to have a good thing going on in my life, but um, uh, I was in her place. I think I would have been even more at sea than she is. So it's something that I really, it's a very important question actually, and the system doesn't really care about it. That's what the film is about, right? The system doesn't really care about it, and it's not only stripping her of her possessions, it's also stripping her of her humanity. You know,
Dignity, yeah.
correct, dignity. Yes. So, um, and oh, I mean, I don't remember how the film ends exactly, but you be stripped of all that you have, and actually, she's as he said, like going to greener pastures. She's going to Alaska. Maybe there is some symbolism in that too. So, uh, uh, it's. I think that's what we need to talk about. Though I think we digress because Mohammed had that question, which is a very valid question. So that's why probably we digress.
Yeah, thanks, Vishal, for that. But yeah, it's a really difficult question. When should we decide? Should we have a relationship or any another creature with our with us? Very difficult to put it.
Can I make an attempt at this question? Because see, in the end, we're all human, no? Rich, poor doesn't matter. In the end, we all have very basic desires, and one of them is to be accepted and loved, right? Whether it's through a life partner or through an animal companion, uh, the desire is similar, that you want to be loved and accepted. And to reduce down that problem into an economic or financial problem is it's not difficult, it's inhumane.
It's almost
uh,
vulgar, right?
yeah, I know. So sorry, forgot your name, Arunav.
Yeah.
Earlier I was taking other side of the argument, and now I'm on the other side. I do
Playing
this
the
often
devil's
in,
advocate.
yeah, I do this in discussions, just to ignite conversation and
Yeah.
get more points of view in the discussion. So it's inhumane because if a person is not able to afford taking care of a pet, okay, and let's run down how much it costs to take care of a pet. I would say less than a quarter of what it takes to take care of a baby. Okay, so this person who's not able to take care of a pet definitely cannot take care of a baby, and it is our biological right to have children, right? It's, if you're religious, you can call it god-given right, or if you're not, you can just say it's a basic human right that everyone has the right to have kids and experience the joys of parenthood, and uh, you know raise your kids in whatever you see is best. So the question is, if a person cannot afford to take care of a dog, they can definitely not take care of a child financially. They may be a great parent even though they don't have the money, but financially they will not be able to support a child. So somewhere along the line, the economic chain which is supporting these jobs is not paying enough, and that is the issue, that people who are working on the minimum wage category of jobs, if they are not able to feed themselves or feed their pets or feed their children, that means the wages are not enough, or wages are not livable, and those are not suitable to be minimum wages. So to answer your question, Mohammed, if you see a situation where a person is not able to afford something, um, and if that necessity is basic, for example, all of us in this room cannot afford a Ferrari, but the that's not to say that we have a right to it. I'm saying if a person's basic necessities are not met, then it is definitely um, a problem in the system, economic system or financial system. Maybe Arunav has better terms for this.
No, I just remember John Steinbeck's quote regarding this, right? Why socialism never took root in America. So he says that the poor there see themselves as not the exploited proletariat, but as temporarily embarrassed millionaires. So
So state should be should support its citizen enough that they have at least a companion, basic, as you said, progeny. Um, yeah, it boils down to economic of a state. Nice.
No, no.
not even
I mean,
state, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
what
Arunav, go ahead, go
Vivek
ahead.
was saying, right?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Just the wage, just the minimum wages. If they're not, enough to lead a normal life with the basic necessities for yourself and your dog, that's just basic, right? At that point, you need to start questioning the system rather than the individual, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it maybe state, maybe corporation, doesn't matter what, but if the odds are stacked in a way that, like Arunav said, basic necessities are not met, then that is poverty due to circumstance, not poverty due to you know uh, poor management of finances. We all know. I mean, there are people who spend all their money on alcohol, and we see such people in the film also. That these guys are homeless, but they're spending a lot of money on their alcohol um, and people who use drugs or they gamble, and if they're poor due to those reasons, that is their own uh, own self-built circumstance. But if they're poor because even after doing everything, even after budgeting and managing everything, you're not able to support a family, then you need to question whether the living wages, which they call minimum wage, is truly minimum or not.
And throughout the film, we see that she's not at all reckless with her money, right? She keeps meticulous
Hmm.
track of her finances.
And $500 is
Yeah,
barely enough for 1 month.
yeah.
So the fact that her life savings is less than 1 month of money is very concerning. It's concerning because she's jumping from job to job, right? So she's a what you would call, I forgot the word for it. There is a word for this in corporate terminology, contracted employee or something like that, where the company hires a subcontractor and the subcontractor hires people based on demand. For example, all the Amazon deliveries that you guys are getting at home are not delivered by Amazon. It is being delivered by a company which is hired by Amazon, and that company has hired local people to deliver your products. So she's one of those people that whenever there's a demand of jobs, she has to go there and try to make money over there. Then she's going to Alaska because the I guess it's fishing season or salmon season. I don't know what they're packing over there, but there are some kind of jobs over there. So she's going there. That will happen for 2-3 months. After that, she'll move on to some other job. Which brings me to my point: is that a lot of what this film says in the background, Nomadland says in the foreground. And I've said this to a couple of friends, maybe I've said this to Vishal too, that Nomadland is a very enjoyable film, but it is heavily leaning on Kelly Reichardt in terms of the filmmaking language and the things it has to say. And whatever it has to say, Kelly Reichardt made a much more succinct point in Wendy and Lucy already. Did you guys like that film, Nomadland?
Yep, I liked it. I like anything with Frances McDormand.
Yeah, she's a good actor.
I liked it, but I felt it was I I liked it, but I thought it was. I'm not sure whether that film was very lucid. So, but again, that's a different conversation.
She's definitely trying to emulate Kelly Reichardt.
I am also not sure about that because
She's a fan. She has told it. in an
Oh
interview.
yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's obvious. You can see it all over the place.
though I'm not really sure that she's trying to emulate her, but no, there is no but. I liked the film. In fact, I have to say the films that I saw last year, Nomadland, Minari, it's like kind of underwhelming. The amount of this thing that they had for the film, like these films were so highly rated. They were underwhelming when I went for these films. But again, last year I've not seen a lot of films.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of that marketing push was by Marvel.
By
Marvel,
who knows, possibly.
because if she
Did
gets
you see Eternals? Because you asked me, so I thought you might have.
no, I haven't. I have no intention of seeing it either. But if she wins an Oscar, then they have an Oscar-winning filmmaker
Yeah.
on their roster.
Could be possible.
So yeah, Nomadland is a very good film, but
It's a good film.
I just think that
100%.
Kelly Reichardt is
It did work for me, but not fluently. That's what
and it's slightly sad that Kelly Reichardt hasn't had her big festival moment yet. She's been making films since the 90s, and she's yet to have that, great festival award winner sweep.
But she's also not made films of that caliber. Matlab, again, like for me, Wendy and Lucy and Old Joy are like masterpieces. No doubting it. And see, it's also a matter of competition. And at that point, were there other films better than that? I mean, I don't know. I've not done any sort of research.
She chooses to work in a small scale.
What
I
you can say-
believe the only time she's gone with a larger scale film is with
the
Jesse Eisenberg, right? That was a slightly larger scale, and
Night Moves.
certain women was.
that was also slightly larger scale
No,
production.
I'm not saying she's not deserving of it. ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. What I'm saying is,
No, but she herself says that she hates doing larger budget films.
and that's why there is a reason that she has that insane amount of control, and that's why she can do what she does. So,
Wendy and Lucy, she edited it at her own apartment. She's her own editor, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And I know, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, Lucy is her dog, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She has appeared in 4 or 5 of her films right before Certain Women. Certain Women is actually dedicated to Lucy. She passed away right before that.
She passed away, is it?
Yeah.
I'll talk. I also brought up Jia Janke, right? So I walked out of Certain Women because I did not enjoy the film. Even though I never walk out of films. But the only reason I walked out of, I never walk out of films. Never. The only reason I walked out of that film was A, I was not enjoying it at all, and B, I did not find it worthy enough to not attend the masterclass by Jia Janke. So I chose to I walked out so that I could get a seat at Jia Janke's masterclass. And what a masterclass. I've never seen a filmmaker wanting to talk about films, cinema, process, rather than just talking about tidbits and, anecdotes. He wanted to, like Chaitanya Tamane had to stop him all the time, so that he could bring in more questions. He just kept on talking about film, cinema, his process. It was wonderful. I just loved Jia Jake. I think
Where,
that's when I decided to go back to him.
where was this?
Mami.
Marvel. Okay.
So worth it because I saw certain women again and it's still boring. Wouldn't enjoy it at all. But I want to go back to First Cow. I think it was very interesting. I think I have to go back to it to appreciate it more. But Old Joy and Wendy and Lucy were just something else.
Also, Meek's Cutoff is one of her better films.
Correct. Me
Yeah.
Cut Off is
You
also
guys should also watch Night Moves. I mean, it's a
Night
thriller by
Moves,
no,
Kelly.
I
but
was
even
slightly
when
disappointed in that, to be honest.
I remember Tarantino saying that Meek's Cut Off was the most boring film of the year. And when I saw it for the first time, I agreed with him. But when I saw it again, it's a nice film. It's nice. It's very nice. But again, I didn't find it special. It's special that she made that film, but not really special in another way. So,
I saw it at a festival without knowing anything about it,
uh,
and I was hooked beginning to end. There's not a minute that bored me.
mhm.
And when I walked out of the film, I knew for a fact that this is going to be my favorite film of the season. And even though I saw many other films, it's stayed my number one film
Mhm.
of that festival that year. So, anyways, going back to Wendy and Lucy, let's talk about the animal component in the film because that's the theme, right? This dog plays definitely a major role, even though it is used as a plot device. The animal definitely has some significance in the story and also to the character. And are there any observations about that you guys have noticed?
Yeah, I wanted to bring this question, but before that, kind reminder that I am not against the pet lovers or pets. This question is often asked, and I don't have answer to it. But the question is, when so many people in our country, poor people, are suffering, is it right that we spend so much money on a dog or a cat, any pet? It's many times I have been asked this question. I'm not a pet lover. I don't keep a pet, but I've seen how much it costs you a lot keeping a pet. Uh, Even in these rural areas, I see people having a dog. They're caring, but it's really expensive. First thing, the so the people, lot of idealistic people question this, that so many people are suffering, poor people are living in hunger, better save that money and invest that money into those lives, it will be more rewarding. But yeah, in this also there is some hypocrisy. Somewhere I feel that they value a human life more than a dog or any pet. That's arguable, but wanted to know all your views.
Mohammed, before anyone proceeds, could you share your view on the same question?
Yes.
Okay.
Long back when I was 9 or 10 years old, I had a dog, and suddenly it died. I don't know even today, till date, that why it died. But I realized that there is so much pain in losing a dog. From then on, I decided that I will never attach myself to any creature, any pet animal, or no, that death, it has hit me hard that everything in this world is going to perish, and then it is going to die, and when it dies, it is going to hurt you very much. Like means hammering a nail into a wall is easy, but removing it is very what's it, painful. So from then on, I have not kept a pet. So I don't know how much it. I had a street dog, but now uh, if people can afford, as you discuss, if people can afford out of their wages, they should go. But again, I'm blank here, little bit.
How long did you have that dog for? How many years?
Not more than 6 months. I don't clearly remember it, but I
Okay.
had for a long time that dog with me.
So around 1 year maybe you had the
Yeah,
dog, or
yeah,
maybe
one
more than
yearly.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. But Do you regret the time that you have spent with the dog? Because as a boy, if you have a bond with an animal, that is really special, right? It's basically a friend.
Yeah, yeah. I always think those were the very memorable moments, but the death has given me a bigger shock than what I have spent my time with that. You know,
But you never
losing.
forget those moments that you've had with your friend, right? With the dog.
Yeah, I haven't forgot it.
Hmm.
It's still in my fresh in my mind when it
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
come and lick my feet. It's
Hmm.
still fresh.
Yeah. So, okay, I understand that, death is painful, but and this is the crux of the problem, that yes, that things are transient, right? In the end, like, all four of us will die at some point. Does that mean we should stop appreciating life? Should we stop going to concerts? Should we stop watching movies? What's the point? It's all going to end. So, for unfortunately, for many people, they lose their children also. Um, it's a sad reality, but some people lose their children, some people lose their parents, and some people lose their pets. Uh, but in your life, the moments that you've cherished and you've accumulated over the years, that will be more valuable in the end, right? So, and this is what I think about when I think about people who I really care about, who have passed away. And in the past few years, there have been a series of deaths in the people in my circle, of people I know, friends, family members, and it's been truly devastating, without exaggerating. And but I feel lucky that I've known these people while they were still there with us, because if it's better to live with that memory to than to not have experienced that at all. And I'm assuming that's the same for you, right, Mohammed? You're glad that you made that friendship when you were a boy, right?
Uh,
You're clearly in your mid 20s now, and you still think about that 6 month friendship with that dog. It's not left you.
True.
Like
But
I
now,
was.
as I am, hi Kaivalya, sorry. Yeah, I was telling Vivek, from that point onwards, people
Hmm.
philosophy says that consider this world as a illusion, so you will not suffer the death of any person or any creature in this world.
Hmm.
It's very hypocrisy, I think. So one way you propose that you should love everything, and other hand you say that consider it as a fake, just a illusion. um,
Hmm.
I don't know how to, but there are philosophical answers to this, that we shouldn't get attached to anything, any creature in this world. So I've just read it, but I have not found. I have failed to form any conclusive theory in my life till now.
Yeah, that is just one opinion, no? Like, they have that view that you should not have any attachments at all, but there might be a counter opinion where they say you should have great life experiences, and you should go through the suffering that comes with it, because pain, it's like an amplitude, right? Like, what goes up, it has to come down. So if you see happiness, you also see sadness. That's a different type of philosophy, which I'm not very good at. But to answer the question you were talking about, right? If there is so much suffering in this world, there's poverty and there's people don't have homes. So why are people buying dogs worth lakhs of rupees and spending all their income on pets? And the answer is quite simple over here. At least it's simple to me. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be proven wrong. The answer is that um, this proposition comes up uh, on the internet a lot whenever there is news about ISRO, our space agency that we have. Whenever we have lunar launch or this and that, satellite launches, people comment that, oh, India has poverty, they're spending money on rockets. So, yes, India does have poverty. We do have a great income divide, which we should be ashamed of. I understand that. People don't have housing, people don't have shelter. But will dismantling ISRO solve this problem? Is the equation that simple? Or maybe, we have a annual budget, financial budget, which is released every year. So within that, we have a budget for education, we have a budget for farm subsidies and this and that. And within that, we have a budget for ISRO. Maybe if ISRO does well, we can win more contracts for sending satellites to the sky. That brings great income to the country, and maybe that great income can be used for better things like solving hunger problems, solving shelter problems, right? So it's a similar proposition that we have so much money in the world, but how come these people spend money on pets? So all of us pay taxes, right? And our duty as citizens is to pay taxes, and it's the job of our government to make sure that taxes are being put to good use. But after you've paid taxes, the money you have is really yours to do whatever you want with. If you want to go watch movies, that is your choice. If you want to spend it all in fast food, that is your choice. Or if you want to buy luxury cars, that is your choice. Um, so some people are spending it on pets. That is also okay. The problem that you're trying to ask is not about pets. It's about income inequality. So the question should be, what can we do to reduce income inequality in the country? Because some people are very, very rich and some people are extremely poor. How can we reduce this gap? That is the problem we need to solve. Having pets at home, you've experienced this yourselves, uh, brings a lot of joy that is incomparable. And they say a dog, for example, has the intelligence or the brain of a 2.5, 3 year old, a toddler, human toddler. So for many people, in their eyes and in their experience, they think of dogs as babies, and a lot of that behavior supports that theory. Dogs, they really pay attention to their caretaker, and they want to be loved all the time, and so yeah, so it's not fair to reduce the argument to pets itself, because instead of pets, why not say first class tickets in airplanes, right? A first class international airfare is around $10,000. $10,000 is how much? 7 lakhs, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 7 lakhs for a flight ticket on average. That is less than what pet owners will spend probably in entire life of the pet. So the question is about income disparity. It's not about pet ownership. I think everybody should have the right, or should have the ability to own a pet if they want to. Vishal, I think you're trying to say something.
Uh, see, this question whether when when there are so many people dying of hunger. Is that what you're saying, Mohammed? Like, why can't we take care of people? And
Yeah, when
so,
we have
Mohammed, that's the
species.
answer to that is very simple. Everybody can be taken care of. There is enough money in the world to take care of people, to take care of pets, everyone. Uh, it's just that it's not a profit-making enterprise. That's all. Everybody can be taken care of. There is enough money in the world. So now, then the question comes to you as a person. So what you do, what you want to do with your life and your money is nobody's business. Again, uh, and if there is a question at which life is more valuable, human life or animal life, I don't want to answer that question. But uh, I would like to feel. See, I'm not. So I'm very scared of animals. I generally prefer hanging out with people who don't have pets because I'm scared of animals. But I love animals. So my situation is like that. I love animals, but I'm very, very scared of them. Having said that, I would not like to put value on somebody's life just because they're humans or they're animals. I don't want to give more value to human beings, or I don't want to give more value to animals also. What you do with your life is, or what you do with your money, where you want to invest your emotions, is your own personal thing. Because if the system really wanted to take care of everyone, it can take care of everyone, but it's just not something that is profit making. So they will not do it. It's plain and simple. And with this thing that you talked about, where you got attached, or this philosophy, right? That everything is in the passing, right? Nothing. Everything is an illusion. There are two worlds. One is on the inside, and one is on the outside. It's up to you which world do you belong to. If you're on the inside, always on the inside, then there is actually no need to connect with anyone else. But if you are living a life which is dependent on the outside, then you're obviously going to connect with people. Again, which life that you want to live is also up to you, right? So it comes down to uh, uh, what you want to do. You do you feel that taking care of animals is less noble than taking care of people? And if you feel like that, then you behave accordingly. Is what I'm saying. I don't think there is a right or wrong. Not right or wrong. I am saying there is no point in discussing whose life is more valuable. Yeah, I am done.
Nice. If I have to take away from what Vivek and Vishal has told, that suppose a guy comes to me and he says that I have certain amount of money, what should I do with it? Whether should I buy a pet, or should I invest that money in a as a scholarship for a student? Then I would only answer him that whatever makes you feel happy, just go and do that. If it makes you happy by investing that money into a child's education, that's good. If you enjoy or derive happiness by having a pet and investing that money in that pets, then it's, yeah, if it has to be boiled down, that's very personal. Yeah. And what Vishal said, yeah, we shouldn't value based on because we are human and those are animals. Definitely. And I had read this one long back that human life is very precious and we should use it for a better purpose, etc., etc. But from that point of view, I was trying to look it. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so human life is precious. Let's say that is true.
And every life is
But
precious.
correct, that does not mean that the life of an animal is not precious enough, right?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Human life is precious, though I do not really conform to that thought. But let's say human life is precious. But so with that logic, every life out there is precious.
Even if suppose there is a two rail tracks, on one rail track there is one dog stuck, and on other one human is stuck. Uh, whom will you go and first help? Uh, Definitely a human, because we are human.
I will save the person whose chances of living are higher. I mean, I will save the person or the animal. I will save the one whose chances of living are higher. And if it's a tiger, then I'll probably go for the human. And I am very scared of animals. Very, very scared of animals. I have to say. So this is not. So I so that I do not come off as biased, I'm very scared of animals. Any animal, I would not even go near a cockroach, let's say. So you will find in my house, it usually happens that you will find an earthworm or a snail randomly. Okay. And uh, maybe if you see an earthworm, the immediate reaction of people is to kill them. What I do is like just pick them up with the this thing, newspaper, and throw it away, or just put it in the in the garden. Not I don't have a garden. There are plants outside in the balcony. I just put them there. So uh, it's all up to you, man. Like if I am scared of animals and I can do that, then I think there is no reason for people to just having respect for life in general should be basic, don't you think? It doesn't require any sort of philosophy. It doesn't require any sort of learning at any level. It's just basic. I think we are all born with it, aren't we?
True. As a child, I have this memory that I think in Pune, we as a student used to pick up these snails and hit them hard on a rock, and they would shatter, and we would laugh. And there was a devilish joy. I don't know, but now I regret, really regret that I did it. But I don't know what, even frogs. These kids enjoy torturing these frogs or butterflies, even birds, this dragonfly. And I am helpless to explain to them that why shouldn't we do that. But we are helpless. They do what they find.
Mohammed, you were a kid. I was a grown up, and I had this like not an opportunity. Like there was this puppy who was he just walked. I was in a small village, and that puppy had walked into a room in the house, and I just closed the room because I was very scared of animals. Like I would not even go near a puppy. I was just waiting for my friend to come, who was also scared of animals, by the way, for him to come so that he could take away the puppy. So I can't really do anything about it because, or maybe I could, but I am very scared of animals. Today I will not do that because I kept on meeting people who were who were not scared of animals, who were animal lovers, and if I had to spend time with them, then I had to spend time with animals. So I have become a bit more comfortable with animals. So again, you evolve. So I would also like what Vivek said, right? Like maybe you should not be, though I am nobody to tell you what you should do. Maybe you should think about the fact that just because you loved that animal but you lost it, so you don't want to again connect with a creature. I think don't do that. I mean, especially if you want to.
No, it's not about connecting. It is about experiencing those
What I'm saying
sorrow
is
again.
it's very important as an artist. I believe you want to be a writer. You cannot be scared by. You should not cannot. You should not be scared by these things because you'll be facing a lot of rejection. That's very basic. So I mean, it's easier for me to say, okay, oh, go and have a pet, but I'm with Vivek. Like, don't be afraid. Make connections or do your thing.
We'll try.
Before we go ahead, Kaivalya, you posted some messages on YouTube. I just saw, but you deleted them. Is there anything you wanted to tell us?
No, actually, what I said, it was immediately like said by one of the other participants. So I said,
Okay.
"Hey, let's retract it." So that's why. And then I decided to join it.
Good.
It was basically the same thing, na, that a child or a dog is totally dependent on a person. So that is a
Hmm.
huge responsibility.
Hmm.
And without proper planning, doing this type of stuff, like adopting a dog or adopting a child irresponsibly is not that good, because
Hmm.
it is possible that someone else might have adopted them, someone else who is way more resourceful, who is way more, who has planned it better, and you basically took away a happy chance from him, that particular person. And then someone also mentioned that it could also be a stray dog that has been adopted. In that
Hmm.
case, no one is adopting a stray dog. So I thought
Right.
that it was basically useless thing. So I retracted the comment, realizing how stupid it was.
Never retract, because there is something of value to be gained from these points also.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
then it
listen,
was already discussed in the video, so
to be a
uh,
devil's advocate, and forgive me for being annoying, on one hand, a lot of dogs also get killed by the pound when they don't have enough room. They call it kill shelters. Maybe you're aware of this concept, right? They keep a dog in the pound for X number of days. If nobody adopts the dog within that period of time, the dog has to be killed.
isn't that what PETA is notoriously famous for?
Yeah, partially. It's not just PETA. It happens in Bombay also. It happens in the US also. So yeah, I'll come back to your point, but I just want to address something Mohammed was talking about, and then we'll go back to this discussion about pet ownership. So, Mohammed, you mentioned that when you were a child with your friends, you, at least your friends, did some things to animals which you consider, and you use the word, right? It's devilish. What did you say?
Devilish joy.
Devilish joy. So this word came from you, not from me. So because there is a similar concept in German. There is a word called Schadenfreude. It and this word means to gain joy from someone else's pain. And according to Germans, I'm just repeating what I have read. It is the single most evil emotion humans are capable of feeling. Okay. Now, I'm not judging you for that, nor am I, criticizing what you've done in the past, because it seems you have arrived on your own conclusion that what has happened in the past was not correct. So in a way, that's quite good that you're able to identify this, that I cannot accept punishing or torturing animals to laugh about it. It is not worth it. So I'm glad you've made that self realization on your own and you've understood it. But maybe discuss this with your friends next time, that I heard about this concept, and is this really who we are? Is this the kind of entertainment that we need in our life? So Vishal is leaving, he said. So yeah, when someone slips on a banana, do you laugh at him or do you feel bad for him? That's the difference. So going back to the pet ownership question, and also to what we were talking about in the context of the film. So Kaivalya said that we should be responsible pet owners. I agree with that. And people should also have self sustainability before they take on additional responsibility. Also agree with that. But can we deny people like this character in the movie, this girl, who have nothing in their lives? Should we have the authority to deny them pet ownership?
My argument is not about denying anything. My argument is a lot more about educating them that
Hmm.
this is a responsible task. If you want to
Hmm.
do, go ahead. Like for example, I have a cousin who
Hmm.
says that he wants to make YouTube channel. He wants to do vlogs on fitness and thing. And I told him that this is something that if you want to make a career, it would take a lot of work. I am not saying that don't do it, because a lot of people have already made it. Probably if your content is good, you will also make it. but there are going to be hardship. Are you ready for that? It's something similar type of, I would say, pep talk or something that must be given to them to make them understand that, are you willing to do this? You will have to do this. You will have to do take this. Like for example, the thing, she got in trouble because her dog food ran out, right? She could have stored it earlier, or she could have simply bought it, but she took a decision. It might have been impulsive, like I take a lot of impulsive decisions myself. So she took an impulsive decision, and then she had to pay for it, and because of that she almost lost her pet, and she didn't knew where he is, what condition he is. So even that was irresponsible in a way. Now obviously there are always going to be some situational issues that are always going to play. I mean, you can make good plans, but then life throws a wrench and your plan goes for goes away. So I'm just saying, but people should be educated, like म्यूचुअल फंड की एड आती है, एडवर्टाइजमेंट फॉर म्यूचुअल फंड. The mutual funds are subjected to market risk, everything, to read properly before you invest. So that pep talk is very small. Actually, that pep talk itself should be a little bit bigger, and it should be understandable. And I think similar type of pep talk should be given to people who are willing to adopt, or who are willing to adopt or take responsibility. Now again, Mohammed said that, okay, so should we not even enter in relationship because we are not able to sustain? Now see, when you are entering in a relationship with another person, that person is not completely dependent on you. That person can take care of themselves, and even might take care of you in your difficult times. That is a possibility over there. But when it comes to pet, when it comes to kids, that possibility is non-existent. They are not going to take care of you. You are the one who has to take care of them. So over there you have to be given this type of pep talk. Now obviously, like you said, there is no mention how the dog came in that woman's life. So we don't know, was it adopted, was it taken down, or like there is also this thing which has not been explored, that why she has something on the ankle, right? It's probably I'm not sure, but I think she has some sort of injury on her ankle. So how did she got that injury? Maybe the dog helped her out, and that is why she's feeling gratitude towards the dog, and that's why she went out of her way and bought dog food, because of which her budget of travel to Alaska got destroyed. So there is a lot of things that we can draw upon. This is the beauty of this movie. But I think that impulsive decisions sometimes become really hard, and I was really glad that she decided to leave the dog in a better place, at least till she earns money and she decides to come back for the dog. She says that I will go, I will make some money, and then I will come back for you. So I think that was a very good ending, in my opinion. But I am not saying that you have to be authority. Like for example, I also understand why poor people, they have so many offsprings, because as you said, you are poor, you do not have access to basic medical facilities and all those things, and this has been happening for like ages. So because you are poor, the amount, there is a very good chance that your offspring, which, like usually children die before the age of 5, and if they survive till the age of 5, then there is no issue with that. But they are afraid that our offspring will survive or not, because of that fear or some other reason, they used to do these things. And now this is something that I have heard from an anthropologist. So I am not completely aware of what exactly is the thing, but it's a psychological thing that has been passed down from generations and generations. And like anything which has been passed down generation over generation, it takes time to get rid of it. So that's the thing. But if you educate them that no, okay, okay, don't worry. Now the government has set up this, like this is a health dispensary, primary health center. You can go over there, you can get checkup. You have your child is more likely to be more nourished if it is a single child. If you educate them like that, like we have seen in Kerala, right, I think in Kerala, this population issue was resolved in a very similar approach, educating them and actually establishing a lot of primary health centers. So it's a combination of two three things that can help you out. Now over there again, there is not like you should not have more kids than this. No one is saying that over there in Kerala, and it is improving a lot. So I think that is the approach, correct approach, to educate them that why the decision you might take might come back to haunt you. So that was what I was trying to say.
See, in this film, um, the situation is a little more complex in the sense that it, beyond the question of responsibility, financial responsibility, uh, this girl has nothing, no, in a way. She doesn't have a family, and the immediate family that she has, sister and brother-in-law, they don't really, want to keep in touch with her because of financial limitations. They don't want to be seen as a provider. Doesn't have an address, doesn't have a phone, doesn't have friends, have nothing, no home. And I'm guessing she's fairly young in the film, 18, 19, whatever it may be. So barely an adult, also still a child in some respects of her life. What does that do to you as a person, to feel like the world doesn't want me? Nobody wants me. The system doesn't want me, the government doesn't want me, the companies don't want me, my own family doesn't want me. So what do I do with my life? What is my Where do I belong? So this dog represents security for her. The dog is her home. When they say home is where the heart is, the dog is her home. And the humming song that she sings throughout the film, right? It only happens in company of the dog. It's like a lullaby. She's singing to the song, to the dog. So in a way, the dog is, maybe the dog is providing actual protection. But more than that, when I say the dog is her home and the dog is her security, it makes her feel safe that I have someone in my life who will always be there for me. That is what the dog represents.
Yeah,
So
no, I was just commenting in the this thing. Na, the question, there was a question asked. So should like should we have authority or not, or this? I was talking in general sense. I was not talking about,
hmm,
in the particularly in the sense of this movie. This
huh,
because we don't even know na, how she came in contact with the dog. Quite frankly, like I said, it is also possible that she might have gotten that injury in the ankle, and it was a dog who saved her. So now she's in gratitude that nobody wants me, and this dog still went out of his way and saved me. So that is why she is in gratitude with she has gratitude for the dog. So yeah, my point was not specifically about this particular.
yeah, this film, advocates for the cause that very few would support, right? A person like her, 18, 19, homeless person, uh, doesn't have a job, lives with a dog. This is not the kind of person people make movies about, for first of all. And the fact that a movie is made about this kind of person, the filmmaker wants you to really understand the situation and the circumstances in which such a person is born out of. Nobody wants to be in that position, right? Nobody wants to be homeless or be jobless without a family. Nobody wants that. But life has pushed you over there. So what can you do? So
To add, Vivek, just wanted to add here that you mentioned that she has nobody to share her sorrow, loneliness. So is it uh, right that she should have a dog even if she herself is suffering? So so in a way, I think you are saying, trying to say that she has a right to have a dog because this society has rejected her, because nobody is supporting her, even their family members are denying her even to listen. Okay, they are not ready to listen to her what is happening. So a person who is suffering, he has a right that at least he should have a creature, a pet to share, to have a companionship even in such difficult time. Is that what you are trying to put it?
Not exactly,
Mhm.
because I'm not saying anyone who's rejected and feels alone should get a dog. That is not the solution. But in her case, it just so happens that she has this very strong bond with the dog. I was assuming she's known this dog since childhood because she's also quite young. So I went with that assumption that she's probably known this dog since childhood. So, but at the same time, we also don't have the right to deny someone of the comfort that a pet might offer.
But in her case, if the dog had been with her, it would have
Hmm.
suffered a lot more than lot more.
Hmm.
Uh, and then
True.
what she did was a very what to say, a genuinely humanistic choice she took. That yeah,
Correct.
that I am suffering. Let at least let the dog have its own life. Because if it stays with her,
Yeah.
the dog is going to suffer a lot. Uh,
Correct. Correct. And
uh,
when she runs out of dog food, the dog looks at her like, "Where's the rest of my food?" Right?
yeah,
And she
that's
says,
really
"Yes,
funny.
I know, we'll get you food." So she knows that uh, this lifestyle is not meant for the dog. She understands that. But in her life, the situations that she's facing, the dog is her security and the dog is her home. So should she willfully abandon that? And that is the decision she has to come to answer. And through the course of the film, both of you have seen the film, that is her character arc, right? She learns to let go, and not just let go uh, because the dog will have a happier life, but also to understand that she can face these difficulties on her own. That is the growing up she does in this 90-minute movie from beginning to end. That is her character arc, that she grows up a little more and she understands that, yes, I know I have nothing. Yes, I know I I will have a difficult life, and I will still fight, and I will fight it so I can give a better life to the dog. Which also, affirms what Kaivalya was saying, that yes, you can have a dog, but you also need to have that responsibility. So that's what the animal component of the film was. Alfred Hitchcock used to say, the plot is just an excuse for you to hang all your ideas on. And this movie is a perfect example of that. This girl losing her dog and finding it again is just an excuse for all the other themes and topics that we've been discussing for 2 hours. So, yeah. I mean, there are more things to say, but, we've ran past more than 2 hours. So,
Yes, Vivek.
yeah.
Suppose I remember an incident from my in 15s when I 15 years old. A father just vanishes from the lives of the wife and two children,
Mm-hmm.
only because he can't afford support them, and he just runs off.
Hmm.
And people somehow manages and they survive. And after 3 years,
Hmm.
he comes back
Hmm.
and he says that yeah, I have now everything. Better
Hmm.
I'll support you all.
Hmm.
What do you means? How do you judge him? No, you have to. Here I have to judge him because
Hmm.
he left them in middle of, means to the victim to the situations,
Hmm.
and he coming here after 3 years, and
Hmm.
his excuse is that at that time I was not able to support myself, so
Hmm.
I had to do this thing.
Hmm.
For such man, what answer would we be able to give? That yeah, whatever you did, it's good, or
Hmm.
no, what you did was very inhuman, that you shouldn't have done. But thank God that they have survived after 3 years.
Hmm. What do you
How
think?
how? My answer would be that yeah, what he did was right, because when he himself isn't able to survive, he ran off, and he ran off just to secure a good life. And in doing that, I think didn't do anything wrong. But but he did one thing wrong, was he didn't secure the life of these two kids and the wife. In middle, he just vanished in thin air. uh,
Hmm.
so I would accuse him for doing this, but again, uh, means I would support him that yeah, you did whatever you did was to have better life.
Hmm.
So in two ways, I would be just one hand complimentary,
So you can
another hand,
understand why this person was forced to take this decision, right?
yeah, I can
But
understand.
but what you cannot excuse is that since this was done all of a sudden, you have put this wife in a situation where her responsibilities now are double. Earlier, the responsibilities were being shared between husband and wife, and now only wife has to do everything: earn money,
Yeah.
take care of the home, take care of the kids, uh, take them to school, so on. So many responsibilities.
Mm.
So now her life is like become twice as more difficult, and without warning. So is that fair on the wife? That is also worth thinking about. What does the wife feel about it? Because she's the one who has to had the most difficulty out of it. I mean, yeah, the children miss their dad. That is also there, but in terms of the workload and the responsibilities, the wife has suffered the most, right, over here.
Yeah, yeah, but I forgot to put her saying what she told
Hmm.
to the public, that anyway, he has come back. That's enough. She was
That's very
just
kind of
happy
her.
that he has come back, and she didn't accuse him. She accepted him as if he has come from a late hour shift work. That's all.
Hmm.
Shocked to see her acceptance.
That is her generosity, right? That she's offering her forgiveness without any explanation. So,
Yeah, it's similar to that dog. If she ever comes back and picks her up, that Lucy,
hmm.
dog will be more, what to say, thankful that she has come back. At least, at
Hmm.
last she has come back.
Hmm.
It wouldn't protest that, yeah, तू छोड़ के चली गई थी मुझे. It wouldn't say anything on that line.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
now women are getting educated, and they would protest against this. That woman was what I mentioned, was she was a
Yeah.
rural
Mohammed,
woman,
if
and
your
she
wife left you with two children, what wouldn't that
I'll
piss you
curse
off?
her. I'll
Yeah,
curse
right,
her.
right. So I mean, the wife also has a right to be angry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a male female thing. I always like to think that you are a person first, and then the male female. We are all, humans first, and then we are male, female, Indian, American, whatever. So it is quite natural to feel upset at such circumstances, whether you're the husband or you're the wife. So yeah, the male female component is secondary. As a human, you've been put in a compromising situation. So I think we should at least wrap up the live stream, because we're going away from. Uh, do we have anything else we need to discuss about the film? I mean, I do have points, but I don't. It's quite long, and most of our participants are left. So
We may stop live streaming.
okay, Kaivalya, anything?
Nah, I was just like, I just wanted to know, like, there was this incident in the movie where suddenly someone comes out of nowhere when she was sleeping in the woods near the
Hmm.
train,
Hmm.
and then how that, I mean, if I would have been there, I would have been shit scared. I
Hmm.
was like, wow. And her interaction, that was probably the third person. I mean, if you consider the first group as a single person, so that was probably just the third interaction with some unknown people in a very different thing. The second one being that guard, the first one being the group of people who have, one of whom has came back from Alaska, and this third person. Now, I think because of the lighting or maybe the quality of the stream, I was not able to watch the face of the person, and I don't understand. But that commentary of that person, it somehow, I mean, it must have resonated with the girl itself. Like, I want to be good, but every time I try to be good, this society, they make me this, make me that. So,
But he's
I
also a
mean,
serial killer.
yeah, he killed 70 or 700. I don't remember.
700. At least that's
Yeah,
what he
700.
says. We don't know if it's true or not.
He
I
might also be a lunatic. He might
literal.
also be a lunatic.
Sorry, Mohammed, what
Yeah.
was that?
I think 700 was not a literal. He just exaggerated it.
Yeah.
If
So
he had
he's
Or,
killed
also
or
one of these
maybe,
people, right? Like he has been rejected by society, he is rejected by family, and doesn't have a job, anything.
he was a war veteran. Like, in US, the war veterans have a very
Possibly.
tough because they do not have much savings,
Correct.
and usually they are injured and they are wheelchair bound. There was also one scene at that garbage collection center, right?
Hmm.
Who said that, I don't have any money, I would give you afterwards, and say, no, 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 you keep it anyways, it's not going to be much. Bottle collection, I think remember.
Hmm.
So he could also be a war veteran, which could make it true. The 700 figure might actually be true because of that thing. Because war veterans usually go into hand to hand combat when they do stuff. So it could also be true. But my point was that she has three different interactions. The first interaction was absolutely with the group of the people. She was like, "Where did my dog go? Oh, there is it. Oh, these people are strange. One of them has been to Alaska, and she gets an idea how Alaska is going to be, but she's still not completely trusting, and she just leaves them, without saying byes and anything. With the guard, it was like very good interaction. In fact, they sort of formed a bond, in my opinion. It was not that good bond,
Hmm.
but it was like something that you might have with a colleague. You might not call him your friend, but he's a colleague. He would help you out when you are in trouble, right? You won't necessarily call him your friend, but you have very good relation or bond with him. So that was the thing. And the third one, this third interaction, like, if I would have been there, it would have scared the shit out of me. And if I would have resonated, even I would have taken some very angry step the next thing. But instead, it somehow made her think that, oh, I'm not the only person with whom this type of thing is happening, who feels unwanted. There are a lot of people like me. So what should I do? Should I continue on the same path or something? I mean, I do not understand what exactly was that impact, but I think that third interaction was one of the most underrated interaction. And I'm not sure if you have discussed about it or not, because I joined
We
it
didn't
late.
get a chance to discuss it, but you're right. The serial killer person or supposed serial killer person, he clearly has some disturbance, right? He's mentally not fit enough to, you know, live a regular life. But he obviously doesn't have the finances to cover for his treatment also. So what happens to someone like him? Does does he not deserve to feel better and contribute to society? Does he have to
My
live like this all the
Yeah,
time, eating from garbage?
basically my question was the interaction that they both had, albeit
Hmm.
brief. It must have impacted the girl. So
Of
what
course, yeah,
what
yeah.
what impact it must have had on the girl? Like, it could be like, uh, watching in the mirror. Oh my god, will I turn into this guy? I should not. I should do some amends. Or it could also be what we call self affirmation. Affirmation that, no, I am not wrong. I am correct. I'm not the only one who's been caged. There are so many people. There's something inherently wrong. Like, what was the impact on the girl in your opinion? Because sometimes, you are on the verge of breaking, and then you actually fall in that trap. No, no, everything is wrong. Then few people more add in, there are more voices supporting your thing. and then suddenly some good news happen and you totally snap out of it.
Can I ask you, if you were camping outside in the woods and you had someone saying creepy things like that next to your tent or next to your bed, what would your reaction be?
Like I said, I would be scared shit.
You'd be
I would not
scared,
even be
okay.
able to understand what he's saying. I my
But what will you do? Will you run away, or will you try to pretend you're sleeping? Will you get up and fight?
I mean, given my body type, I'm damn sure I cannot run away, and I would be frozen to death, or I would try to run away. But
Hmm.
I'm not a confrontationalist. Like I do not
Hmm.
like confrontation, so fight was never in it. It
Hmm.
would have been either flight or freeze. Like that
Hmm.
is the third F. Flight or fight is the one, and the third one freeze. I would have
Please.
been frozen, quite frankly.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, I can't speak for the character in the film, but I can only presume what might be the case. Is you have to understand, she's a young girl, 18, 19 years old. Just out of childhood in a way, and it's dark. There's no one to call for help. Even if you call for help, nobody can hear you. And this guy specifically says, "Don't look at my face." That means he has criminal intent. Don't look at my face means, in case if I do some crime, when you report to the police, you should not be able to describe me. That is the reason why he's saying that. So obviously he has something in mind he's going to do. And being a girl in his position, her position, you know, there is a possibility of sexual crime. So it's a very, you know, unfortunate and difficult position to be in. I wish I could say, get up and fight, but that's not an option for many people. If she stood up to fight, maybe this guy has a knife and the fight is over with one person dead. So that scene, more than anything, reminds you how different her life would be if the dog was there. Right? The dog would not have let a strange human like that around her.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, thankfully, nothing goes wrong. I think he steals a few things from her bag, but other than that, luckily nothing goes wrong. So
Yeah, through this scene, I think it is clearly shown that she is more vulnerable to the situation without a dog.
to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we should at least end the live stream, because it's difficult to ask people to listen to 2.5 hours of discussion. So
Yeah, yeah.
thank you, YouTube listeners, for listening so far. And I'll just end the stream and I'll be back.